IBPS PO Success Academy, brought to you by TalentSprint. Well, this is session number 2 in English as a part of this Success Academy, where we are going to discuss 4 ways to solve questions from quantitative aptitude. And we will do this by solving questions from the previous year's IBPS PO paper. But before we start that, let me quickly see how is your preparation for the upcoming IBPS PO exam, right? You know that the notification was released a couple of weeks back, right? And the application process also had got started. 13th August is the last date. And like I mentioned in the last session, right? You know that the previous session, which was on last Wednesday, was on 5 habits to kick, which will help you succeed in IBPS PO. I'm sure most of you had attended that session. If some of you have missed it, don't panic. You can watch it even now by logging into our free trial account, which has been shared with all of you, right? It will have the recorded archive of the previous live session, and also the sessions that we do in future will be archived there, so that you can watch it any number of times you want in case you have missed it, right? And the best part is, you know, you can not only watch these missed live sessions, but you can watch it anytime, anywhere, and at any pace you want, right? So how is the preparation going? I see a lot of you have joined the chat. I see Arjun, Sandhya, Pavitra, and many others. So first thing is complete your application for the IBPS PO exam, right? August 13 is the last date, and do not delay it anymore, right? We are already on August 10th, so 3 more days to go. Please complete it at the earliest possible, right? I would say you should keep a target of closing it by end of the day today if you have not done it already. Okay, so many others there: Mayuri, Kirti, Hemant, Vikrant, Vikram Reddy, Pavitra. So good evening and welcome, guys. The question to you all is, how is your preparation, right? I'm sure all of you are healthy. I would like to understand how healthy is your preparation for the IBPS PO exam, right? Pallavi, Yadav, Anand, Jeevan, Bala, Riddhi. And I also hope that those who all had attended the session last week, last Wednesday, on the 5 habits to kick, have actually started kicking those habits out, right? It would take a lot of effort to ensure that you don't get into those habits again, right? You have to make sure that you quit those bad habits so that you can maximize your chances of selection, all right? These simple points that we had discussed in the last session would only help you enhance your score. Okay, so how is it going? Going well, going on, sir. Good, but speed is the problem. Ashish says all is well in the IBPS preparation. Sajid says practicing speed maths daily. Yes, that's a very, very important, right? If you remember, the one habit that you have to kick, in fact, the habit number 1 that we had discussed in the last session was, you know, solve equals to write is a habit that you have to kick, right? We generally have a perception, or it has become a habit, that for us to solve a question, we have to write something on paper, right? And it happens naturally because we have been doing that since our childhood, right? We tend to put pen on paper for solving every question. Whereas the fact is, many of the questions can be answered without putting pen on paper, right? Without doing any paperwork. So this habit of, you know, using pen on paper is a very bad habit, right? And you end up wasting a lot of time without your knowledge. So you have to make sure that you stop doing unnecessary paperwork, cut down the number of steps that you write on paper, right? Do not do simple calculations on paper, so that you can arrive at the answers faster. And this way you will be able to save some time and answer more number of questions, attempt more number of questions. So a very important habit to kick is to, you know, cut down the paperwork, and you have to start learning more and more of speed maths techniques, right? I had also mentioned in the last session that the complete speed maths video that TalentSprint has runs for what, 4 hours and 20 minutes, right? Where we have covered about 16 to 17 different techniques, very important techniques, which can help you do different types of arithmetic calculations faster, right? Be it additions, subtractions, divisions, multiplications, finding out square roots or cube roots, etc. So very, very important that you learn all those techniques, and more importantly, practice on a daily basis so that you can apply those at the right time and in the right place, right? Shanava says presently CGL preparation is running and IBPS PO is average. Well, because the syllabus is largely the same, right? 70-80% of the syllabus between SSC CGL and IBPS PO exam is common. So if you're preparing for CGL, you are one way preparing for IBPS PO2. Of course, your focus should be more on CGL now because the exam is due just a couple of weeks from now. So focus on that if you have applied for SSC CGL. Others should start focusing on IBPS PO. Shrikant says IBPS CW calendar is not available on IBPS. Well, I'm not sure about that. If it is not available on IBPS website, don't worry. It is available on TalentSprint's website. You can log into our learning account, the free account that is given to you, and you'll find notifications section there where you have all these links available. Okay, so the preparation looks like it has started. It is going good, right? Nothing typical that I saw here. Please provide me some timetable for IBPS PO. Well, we'll discuss all these things as we keep moving forward in the session and when we also meet again for our sessions in future. Today's session, like you all know, is on 4 ways to solve questions from aptitude. I had made a mention of this in the first session as well, that there are different ways of solving questions. So you should just not stick to a conventional method or a method which involves shortcut formula, right? There are other ways which can actually help you get the answer much faster than even using a shortcut. And I'd also pointed out that there's a video that we have made on this, which is called 4 ways to solve questions from aptitude. And it is one of the most popular videos by TalentSprint, right? Which has touched 1 million views. So I think all of you can watch that video to get the idea in a nutshell, right? We have covered about 4 different types of questions and we have solved each of these questions using a unique method, right? This is just a 5 to 8 minute video if I'm not wrong. So in the first place, I would say go watch that video, not now, after the session gets over. You can find it in YouTube and just go through it to see what exactly are these ways which can be applied for answering questions. And the same will be done in the session today through different questions, by means of solving different questions that were asked in the previous year's IBPS PO exam, right? See, you know that the quantitative aptitude section of IBPS PO has got 35 questions, right? Overall, there are 100 questions and the time given to you is just 1 hour. So it is going to be very critical that you use your time, this limited time of 60 minutes effectively and maximize your score, all right? And for you to do that, you anyway have to follow those, you anyway have to kick those 5 habits that we had discussed about in the last session and start learning different things, okay? So what I'll do now is share my screen with you all, which has got questions chosen from the previous year's paper, and we'll try and solve these questions. Let's see what methods we follow, right? What is generally followed and what can be done in order to simplify it, right? Simplify the solution so that we can get the answer much faster, all right? So shall we start? Shantanu Maiti says, please tell us about puzzles because we all knew about toughness of puzzles of the previous year's IBPS PO main paper. Yeah, not just IBPS PO main exam, even if you look at this year's SBI PO main exam, which was held just last month, right? It seems the type of questions that were asked were really tough, right? Especially from puzzles in the reasoning section. And we had discussed about this also in the last session, where one habit is that we believe that for us to get high score, we should solve all the questions. But the fact is, you actually have to skip many questions so that you can get a high score. See, the point is, many of us get stuck in this intentionally planted questions in the paper and waste a lot of time, right? We don't realize that instead of solving this one difficult question, I can solve 2 easier ones, right? The common example that I give is, you look at any good batsman, right? They'll not hit every ball. They'll just leave some balls, right? Skip some balls. They're respecting the ball there. They're respecting the bowler. That it's a good one, I'll not touch it. You do the same for the questions there, right? It's a good question. It's a complex one. I know that if I solve it, it may take up to 5, 10, 15 minutes, which is actually the case in case of puzzles, right? So why do you just take that risk, right? Skip and go to the next one. Anyways, we will discuss more about it when we meet in the next session next Wednesday, which is on reasoning ability. But today let us focus on quantitative aptitude. Okay. So, shall we start? Sujit says that SVIP was not tough, it was very, very tough. Well, Sujit, understand that the paper was same for all the students, right? So, if it was tough for you, it was tough for all. If it was very, very tough for you, it will be very, very tough for all those who have prepared like you. You getting it? So, your preparation really matters a lot. Okay. I think time now to start. We'll start looking at the questions and in between come back to discuss various other things, right? Like I have many comments here on other subjects like how to clear English section, how do you prepare for general awareness, how to score more in general awareness. We'll come back to all these things later. So sharing my screen now so that I can present the question to you one after the other and let us see what are the different ways of solving these questions. Now here's the first one. I think this question is from simple and compound interest. This was asked in last year's IBPS PO exam. Okay. It says rupees 6,100 was partly invested in scheme A at 10% per annum compound interest, which is compounded annually for 2 years, and partly in scheme B at 10% per annum simple interest for 4 years. Both the schemes give equal interest. How much was invested in scheme A? The answer options are 3750, 4500, 4000, 3250 or 5000. Now, there's a conventional way of solving it, a traditional method where you have to write down the formula, substitute the values, simplify it and arrive at the answer. Or there's a smarter way of solving it, right? Where you use percentages to understand the interest in both the cases and then take the difference. So I think I'll give you about 1 minute to try this out yourselves, right? And let us see how many of you get the right answer, and more importantly, what methods have you followed to get that answer, right? Get whatever you have got. So your time starts now. Well, Saurav has rightly pointed out that you should use effective percentage here. So glad to learn that Saurav is aware of effective percentage concept. I'm sure many of you are aware of that. So apply it now, apply it and find out what the correct answer is. Bala says it should be 2,100, but that's not there in the options, Bala. 4,000, Himanshu Sahu has got 4,000, which is option 3. I'll wait for a few more responses before we start discussing about it. Rashmi says, can I get a personal coaching from you? Well, Rashmi, the coaching that we give is actually personal in the context that you sit at your home and prepare for these exams. You don't have to step out, you don't have to sit in a crowded classroom where even if you're late by 5 minutes, you get to sit in the last row. All those challenges are out now with our online preparation program, so you can explore that. Details are available on this live page. You can check about the various programs that we have. So 3250, 4000 are the two responses that I see. Shubhendu Roy has got 3250. Gunjan Pathak says it is 4000. And there are others also who have got between these two. Mayuri has got 3250. So I think the question is between option 3 and option 4. I mean, it's like a 50-50 split in these two options. Shantanu, Ravi, Simran, Kiran have got 4000. Nayak says it is 3250. Nishant has got 4000. Rajshri says not only effective but also help from other options. Well, honestly, Rajshri, I did not understand what you're saying there. Let us see. Vaibhav says it is 3250 and is very honest. He says it is a guess. Good. So a lot of answers have come in, but nothing very clear, right? You guys have divided yourselves into two groups, a 4000 group and a 3250 group, 3250 group. There's one Mr. Satisfy. That's a nice name there and a nice username. Mr. Satisfy says it should be 3250. So I hope he has satisfied the conditions given in the question. Alright, so I think time now to discuss this. Right, a lot of you have responded. I'm sure a few of you are still solving it and few have skipped it. Right, you're not very clear about it, so you have also skipped it and trying to see what can be done here. So let us discuss the solution. Now what does it say? Rupees 6,100 was partly invested in scheme A at 10% per annum compound interest, which is compounded annually for 2 years, and partly in scheme B at 10% per annum simple interest for 4 years. Right? Both the schemes give equal interest. How much was invested in scheme A? Now, if you look at the question, this is not something new. We have solved such questions in our simple and compound interest video as well, where a total amount is invested in two different schemes, one offering simple interest, the other offering compound interest at different rates and different time periods, and then some or the other condition given there about the type of interest that we get between the schemes. So here he says both the schemes give equal interest. Now, it is very easy to understand. What is important here is what method do you apply, like how do you calculate compound interest, how do you calculate simple interest, etc. So total amount is 6,100, which was partly invested in scheme A and partly in scheme B. Scheme A is offering compound interest at 10% per annum for 2 years. The amount invested in scheme B offered simple interest, same 10% per annum, but for 4 years. Right? So the rates of interest are same, but the time period is different. One offers for 2 years, compound interest for 2 years, the other offers simple interest for 4 years. Now he says both the schemes give equal interest. So this will give CI, this scheme will give SI, both are equal. The CI here is equal to the SI here. How much was invested in scheme A? So see, there's some amount you have invested in scheme A and some amount in scheme B. Let us call it as PA and PB, principal of scheme A and principal of scheme B. Alright. Now, the first point to be noted is PA plus PB is 6,100. Yes or no? The total amount invested in both the schemes is 6,100. What next? See, the other equation that we have is that CI is equal to SI. So let us calculate the compound interest on scheme A, calculate the simple interest on scheme B based on the given rates of interest and time periods, and equate these two. So what do we do? See, usually when rate of interest in time period is given to us, the formula for compound interest is P into 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power of T minus P, or if you take P common, it will become P of 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power of T minus 1. This is the formula for compound interest, and for simple interest it is PTR by 100. But like all TalentSprint students would know, these are not very useful, right? Not very useful meaning, of course, it will give you the right answer and actually is the right formula, but we don't use it while solving questions in a competitive exam, right? It becomes time consuming. What do we do? Compound interest can be calculated using effective percentage concept, right? Effective percentage says that if there are two different percentages, let's say A and B, then the effective of those two will be A plus B plus AB by 100. Now to understand this in detail, you will have to watch model number 6 from the percentages video, right, where we have discussed about this in detail. Here let us directly apply. Now what is A? The rate of interest in first year, which is 10%, and what is B? The rate of interest in second year, which again is 10%. See, it is giving us 10% per annum for both the years. So I can say the total compound interest is 10 plus 10 plus 10 into 10 by 100, right? 10 plus 10, 20, 10 into 10 by 100 is 1, 20 plus 1, 21%. So the point to be noted is, whatever is invested in scheme A, I'll get 21% of that as the compound interest. How about simple interest? See, simple interest, he said, was 10% per annum for 4 years. So 10% into 4 years. Simple interest is simple. You don't have to use effective percentage. You can directly go for multiplication of rate of interest with the time period. So 10 into 4, 40%. Are you able to follow? The compound interest is 21%, the simple interest is 40%. Now if you look at the question, we know that CI is equal to SI, means what? 21% of, see, this 21% is in what? The principal amount. This 40% is in what? The principal amount. So compound interest is 21% of the amount that you have invested. You getting me? How much have you invested? PA. CI is equal to SI. So I can say 21% of PA is equal to 40%. Simple interest is 40% of what? PB. Done. This is the most important equation. Now this will give you the relationship between A and B, or it will give you the ratio. We can say PA by PB is equal to 40 by 21. Yes or no? Percentages get cancelled. It's like by 100 and by 100. So PA by PB is 40 by 21. You know the ratio and you know the total amount. Can you find out the individual values? Yes. Are you able to follow? You know the ratio and you also know the total amount. In fact, if you are smart in calculation, which you are supposed to be, so that you can maximize your score in these exams, you will know that the investment in scheme A is 40 parts and investment in scheme B is 21 parts. So total investment is how much? 40 plus 21, 61 parts. And the 61 parts is equivalent to 6,100. So clearly each part is 100. Yes or no? 40 parts in scheme A, 21 parts in scheme B. Again, this is our basic understanding of ratios and proportions if you have followed the video, right? 40 parts have been given to scheme A, 21 parts to scheme B. So total 61 parts. Basically we had 61 parts, we have divided between A and B. He's asking us to find out how much was invested in scheme A. See, 61 parts is equivalent to 6,100. So each part is 100 rupees. How much was invested in scheme A? 40 parts. If each part is 100, 40 parts will be 4,000. Option 3 is your answer. Yes or no? 61 parts is equivalent to 6,100. 40 parts is equal to what? 4,000. Similarly, suppose he says how much was invested in scheme B. Scheme B we had invested 21 parts. So 21 parts is equal to what? 2,100. He can in fact ask you what is the difference of investment between A and B. No need to put any more steps on paper there, right? Scheme A has got 40 parts, B has got 21 parts. What's the difference? 19 parts. 19 parts. So 19 parts will be 1900. You're getting it? So, you know, very, very simple. Though it looks to be a little complex, maybe 2-3 lines of question here, but you can cut down all these steps, write only what is most important and get the required answer, right? And don't go by the length of the explanation or the amount of text that I've put on paper. If you really look at it, all this is not needed. This was just the explanation of the question, that 6,100 was invested in 2 schemes. One is CI, the other is SI, 10%, 2 years, 4 years, principle of A, principle of B and all that, right? I am doing it so that you can understand it easily, right? Similarly, all this is not needed. This is only explanation. This step again is not needed. You know that total is 6,100, right? If you are good in calculation, calculating compound interest at 10% per annum for 2 years need not be put on paper. You know that 10 will give you 21% only. So this also is cut down. SI is 10 into 440, no needed. CI equals to SI is not needed. What you only write on paper is this. Let me show that in green so that you can understand what is most important here. A smart person will only write this on paper. That 21% of principal in scheme A is equal to 40% of principal in scheme B. Are you able to follow? 21% of principal in A is equal to 40% of principal in B. That's it. Get the ratio from that. Total amount is known to you. Split that amount according to the ratio. Are you able to follow? Have you all followed this? Let me just come back to the screen to understand. Okay, I think Chavan wants me to repeat it again. Mr. Satisfy says, can you also solve this by allocation? Yes, you can solve this question using allocations. In fact, if you remember, I'm not sure if you are a TalentSprint student or not, but if you remember, in allocations and mixtures, in the 4th model, we have discussed that allocation rule can be used for solving different types of questions, one of which is this one. So it is like this, right? 6,100 is a mixture. Is a mixture of what? Mixture of principle of simple interest and principle of compound interest. That's it. So it is a mixture, one type of mixture, and in case of mixtures, you can go for allocation rule. So type 1, type 2 and mixture. You write in that format, take the cross differences, you will get the ratio. That ratio is nothing but 40:21 that we have got here. The only thing that you have to remember here is, again, I'm not putting it here on paper. You can follow that method as well, right? Or let me explain that. I think I should explain that method also. The only point is, in that case, what you do is, when you are calculating for compound interest, you should assume that the entire 6,100 rupees has been invested for compound interest. 10% per annum for 2 years. When you do it for simple interest, you should say that complete 6,100 rupees has been invested for simple interest for 4 years. And mixture, you know. But again, the point is the total interest given to us? Total interest is not given to us. So will that help? That may not help. See, only when total of simple interest and compound interest is given, then you better go for allocation rule. But in this case, I think, yeah, you can just follow the ratio point that we have discussed and get the answer. Allocation rule can be applied. I'm not saying it cannot be applied in these type of questions, but preferably in those questions where we know that the total interest from both the schemes is this much. That means the total interest from the mixture is this much. Then you can find out the individual interest amounts and take the cross difference. Is that understood to all of you? Have you all followed this? Shavan says, nice, I like this trick. Okay, appropriate time according to you to solve this problem in exam. I think Abhi has asked this question. Abhi, I would say, should not take more than 40 seconds. 40 seconds is the maximum. I'm talking about the upper limit. Should not take more than 40 seconds. Right? Of course, you need to practice. You have to ensure that you cut down unnecessary steps, right? And you should also ensure that you do calculations mentally, right? This question has got no complex calculation, right? Simple, 10% for 2 years. So 10 plus 10 plus 10 into 10 by 100. Right or not? I think, yeah, when I was explaining, I also saw one of the comments which read, what if it is more than 2 years? So this effective percentage, how do we apply when it is more than 2 years? What we do in that case, we have discussed that also in the video. What we do is, if it is more than 2 years, apply the effective percentage formula twice. Now some of you may say, applying it twice will make it complex. Then use the formula, P into 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power of T minus P. You will yourself get to know which is complex and which is easier. Suppose if it is 3 years, 10% for 3 years, what happens? 10%, 10%, 10%. First year, second year, third year. For the first and second year, 10% and 10% will give us how much? 21%. 10 plus 10 plus 10 into 10 by 100. Now with this 21% effective of first year and 10% of this 21% effective of first year and second year and 10% of third year, again apply effective percentage formula. So A plus B plus AB by 100. A is 21, B is 10. So 21 plus 10 plus 21 into 10 by 100. So 31 plus 2.1, 33.1%. So we can say that the total compound interest in 3 years is 33.1%. So the method that I'm talking about here is, I mean, this is not the regular formula or the conventional method, right? We are using this concept of effective percentage, right? Percentages, if you ask me, is the most important topic in quantitative aptitude. If you're strong in percentages, you can solve questions from topics like simple and compound interest, profit and loss, data interpretation very easily, right? Partnerships very easily, if you can use those concepts in the right places, right? Now let me ask you a question before we go to the next one. Let me ask you a question on this concept of effective percentage, because this is very, very important. Suppose the rate of interest is 8% per annum. R is equal to 8% per annum and time period is 2 years. R is 8 and the time period is 2 years. So you can tell me how much will be the compound interest? Rate is 8%, time period is 2 years. What is the compound interest? You know the concept, A plus B plus AB by 100. Do it mentally. Do not put pen on paper. If you put pen on paper to do that calculation, you're not fit for the exam. I'm being a little blunt, but I think that will actually help you awaken from that darkness, right? If you put pen on paper for doing that calculation, you're not fit for the exam. 16.64. Glad to see that all of you have got 16.64. There's one person who says 22, but I think you should check your calculation once. 16.64, right? Null says, null meaning he has not given his name, 22.04. 22.04 is not the answer. See, 8% I said, so 8 plus 8 plus 8 into 8 by 100. So 8 plus 8, 16. 8 into 8 by 100. 64 by 100 is 0.64, 16.64%. So if the question says that the principal is, let's say 20,000, rate of interest is 8%, time period is 2 years, find out the compound interest. Within no time you know that it is 16.64% of 20,000. Now do that calculation, 16.64% of 20,000. You know, that calculation is your lookout. Right? Similarly, let's say the rate of interest is 13%. 13%, time period is 2 years. Tell me what will be the compound interest. See, the best part is, we are not even worried about what the formula of compound interest is, right? If you in general ask what is compound interest, we say P into 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power of T minus P. What? Forget about it. It's not the formula. It's not the formula that we are going to use. It is the correct formula, but smart people don't use that, right? Smart people use A plus B plus AB by 100. So 13% for 2 years, 13 and 13, 26, 13 into 13, 13 square, 169 by 100, 1.69. 26 plus 1.69, 27.69%. 27.69% of the given principal amount. And you need not do precise calculation to arrive at the answer. 27.69 can be taken as 28% approximate. Again, depends on the answer options, right? Usually the options are given in such a way that you can do an approximate calculation to arrive at the answer. Now that's another method, right? If you ask me what are these 4 ways of solving questions, one way is the traditional method, like use the formula P into 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power of whole to the power of T minus P. The other method is to use these kind of concepts, smart concepts, percentages based concepts, right? Effective percentage and percentage change, when one increases what happens to the other. All these things are very, very important, right? Especially percentage based concepts. You can use it in various places, right? Some concepts of percentages can be used in time and work and time and distance as well. You should know how to apply, where to apply, right? So second method I would say is using these kind of concepts, right? If your concepts are strong, then many questions can be answered easily. The third method is again approximation, right? Many a times we end up wasting a lot of time because we are trying to find out the correct answer. We are trying to find out the exact answer, right? Of course, the objective is to find out the correct answer, but the objective need not be to find out the exact answer always, right? Like I always say, a smart person will read the question, but before starting the solution, he will look at the options and decide what kind of a answer is needed. Some cases, you need not even solve it. Just by looking at the options, you can mark the answer. Or some cases, by doing an approximate calculation, you can mark the answer. So these things only will help you, right? All of you believe that concepts are very easy. All of you know that shortcuts can be learned in one day, right? All of you know that the syllabus is not complex, right? It is what you have learned up to 10th standard. Then why is that not all of us are able to perform? Why is that only few get selected? Why is that not, not all of us are getting a very good score in quantitative aptitude? It is because we are only running behind the shortcut formulae, practicing mock tests and all that. But there are things beyond that which needs to be done, right? Using these kind of techniques. All right. So that is about it. The other comment that I saw was about what happens if the rates of interest are different, right? And what disappointed me was somebody replied saying that if the rates of interest are different, this method cannot be applied. See, this is a method which is applicable in all the cases, even if the rates of interest are different. Let's say the question says the compound interest is calculated at 10% per annum for the first year and 12% for the second year. What is the compound interest on a given principal? Will the formula change? No, the formula remains the same. Effective percentage, A plus B plus AB by 100. The only thing is A is 10, B is 12. Yes or no? I would say that A and B are equal is a special case. A and B are different is a regular case, right? So don't believe that when the rates of interest are different, it is a special case. That is actually the case. Special case is what we have solved. That rate is equal. You're able to follow. If the rate of interest for first year is 10% and for the second year if it is 12%, what is the overall rate of interest? What is the overall compound interest? 10 plus 12 plus 10 into 12 by 100. 22, 1.2, 23.2%. That's it. I hope all of you have followed this concept. See, I may not be able to cover many concepts in this limited session of 1 hour, right? I wish I could do as much, I could solve more problems, but what I am trying to do is discuss one concept, but ensure that you are all able to apply it in all the cases at the right place, right? So if you're all clear with this, I can move to the next one. So just practice on this. Effective percentage is very, very useful. Again, don't be under an impression that effective percentage can be applied only in case of compound interest. Compound interest is one of the examples or one of the question types where we can use effective percentage. Effective percentage can be used in various cases. Okay, so let me move on to the next question now. I hope all of you have followed. I hope all those who had followed a regular method have learned the new way of solving it, right? The other way of solving questions from aptitude. So let me share the screen again and present the next question to you. Profit and loss. This is on profit and loss. Let us see how many of you get it right. It says A bought a certain quantity of oranges at a total cost of 1200. He sold 1/3 of those oranges at 20% loss. If A earns an overall profit of 10%, at what percent profit did A sell the rest of the oranges? 16%, 15%, 22%, 25% or 20%? Kalyani says, please explain in detail effective percentage. Well, Kalyani, like I said, if you want to learn in detail, you watch the model number 7 of percentages in our videos, right? Okay, KAR is saying, please tell me the shortcuts to solve quadratic equations. Well, I'm not sure if we'll be covering quadratic equations in the session today, but when we meet again in our future sessions, I'll see to it that we solve some quadratic equations based questions as well. (22) Dushyant has got the answer as 22. Rajshri has got 25. Momita has also got 25. Himanshu and Devidat have got 25. So here, again, there are multiple ways of solving each question, but what we are going to discuss here is a simple way where you just have to play with numbers. You don't have to worry about any concept or formula. You just have to deal with those numbers given there and get the answer. So I think the competition is between option 3 and option 4. Many of you have said option 22 and equal number has said 25. Very few have got 20 as the answer. Akash Khanna says, I bet the answer is 25. Good. I like that confidence. Let us see if you have got the right answer or not. So what happens here? A bought a certain quantity of oranges. A bought a certain quantity of oranges at a total cost of 1200. Now understand, the total cost price is equal to 1200. The total cost price is 1200. Again, you don't have to write this on paper. I am explaining the question, so I am writing it. Right? Don't put pen on paper for everything. Now he sold 1/3 of those oranges at 20% loss. Now maybe one question that most of you will have in your mind is, what is the quantity that he has bought? We have no idea about it. And 1/3 of that quantity has been sold at 20% loss. Then A earns an overall profit of 10%. Overall profit of 10%. So at what percent profit did A sell the rest of the oranges? See, the point is, first of all, if you look at it, A earns an overall profit of 10%. Overall, his profit is 10%. So can you tell me what is the selling price? Selling price will be how much? See, you know that when the profit is 10%, selling price will be 110%. Again, this is a concept of percentages. We are only talking about percentages in this question as well, right? If profit is 10%, selling price should be 110%. 110% of what? Cost price. In case of profit and loss, remember, in case of profit and loss, the base is always cost price, unless it is specified otherwise, right? The base should always be taken as cost price, right? In case of discount and all, discount, right, and things like that, the base is always the marked price. We always treat the marked price as the discount, as the base. Base value meaning the 100% of the value, right? The marked price. Similarly, like we have discussed in the previous case, simple and compound interest. Simple and compound interest, always take the base as principal amount, right? The base is nothing but the 100% of the value, right? The reference value. It is a principal amount. You getting it? So here the cost price is 1200, profit is 10%, implies selling price should be 110%. 110% of what? The cost price. So 110% of 1200. 110% again can be taken as 100% plus 10%. Or a simpler way of looking at it is, selling price will be equal to what? Cost price plus profit. So 1200 plus profit. Profit is how much? 10%. 10% of what? Cost price. See, I told you the base is always cost price, right? So 10% of cost price, 120. 1320. So basically the question is this: I have spent 1200 rupees, I want to earn 1320 rupees. I have spent 1200 rupees, I want to earn 1320 rupees. That means I want to make a profit of 320 rupees. My expense was 1200, my income is 1320, I want to make a profit of 120, not 1320, I want to make a profit of 120. Now look at this part of the question. He sold 1/3 of those oranges at 20% loss. See, 1/3 of the quantity is nothing but 1/3 of the cost price. Remember, the quantity will be proportional to cost price, or I would say the cost price is proportional to quantity, because more quantity, more cost. Less quantity, less cost. So when he says 1/3 of the quantity, I can say 1/3 of the cost price. 1/3 of the cost price. 1/3 of cost price. How much is that? 1/3 of 1200, 400 rupees. Yes or no? 1/3 of 1200 is 400 rupees. So he's saying on 400 rupees, he has made a loss of 20%. 400 is the cost price now. This is like a new cost price. Are you able to follow? C dash, let us say, some part of the cost price. C dash is 1/3 of the original cost price, which is 400. On this, he has made a loss of how much? 20%. Loss is 20%. So what will be the selling price? S dash, cost price 400 minus 20% of cost price, which is 80, 320. Understand, total cost price is 1200, total selling price is 1320. In the first case, the first part, the cost price is 400 and the selling price comes out to be 320. So it is like this, out of 1200, 400 is taken here. So what should be the other cost price? 800, C double dash. You're getting it? What should be the remaining selling price? S double dash. See, I want to totally get 1320. I have got 320 here. I want to get 1000 now. Are you able to follow? It is like this. We are splitting 1200 into two parts. 400 rupees and the remaining 800 rupees. Then this 1320 is also being split into two parts. 320 rupees, which we have got in the first case after a loss of 20%, and remaining 1000 rupees. Now we know that the relationship here is 10% profit. The relationship here is what? 20% loss given in the question. What we have to find out is what is the relationship between these two. My expenditure was 800, my income is 1000. So what is the profit? How much is the profit? 25%. Let's say P double dash, 25%. And you do not have to do the calculation on paper for getting this. See, 800 is becoming 1000 means what? 800 becomes 1000 means what? You have earned 200 rupees. 200 on a base of 800 rupees. 200 on a base of 800 rupees. So how much will that be? 25%. So answer has to be option 4, 25%. Yes or no? Is that clear to all of you? Is that understood? I don't know how you guys have got 22%. I'm not sure how you guys have got 22%, but answer should be 25. It was too fast. If I have to go slower than this, then I don't think we'll be able to solve more than 3 questions. How did you get 800? Somebody says. Let me just do it once again simply. I thought I'll explain in detail, but looks like some of you are confused. See, total cost price is 1200. Total selling price will be how much? 1200 plus 10%, which is equal to 1320. This 1200 let us split into two parts. One part is 1/3, the other part is 2/3, because it says 1/3 of the quantity was sold at 20% loss. So 1/3 of 1200 is 400 rupees. Yes or no? 2/3 will be 800 rupees. I mean the remaining part. Somebody is asking me how you got 800. This is the remaining part. 400 rupees the cost price of the first part, 800 rupees the cost price of the second part. Now on this we have made a loss of 20%, minus 20%. So what should be the profit on this? So that overall we get 1320 rupees. See, the point is, on 400 rupees, if I made a loss of 20%, how much will I get from the customer? I'll get only 320 rupees, because 400 minus 20% of 400 will give me 320. Now the point is, totally I want 1320 rupees. I want to earn 1320. I have earned 320 in the first part. Are you able to follow? From the first branch, we have earned 320 rupees. Now the second branch should give me 1000 rupees. Only then I can make 1320 and get the profit of 10%. So point is, 800 rupees is the expenditure, cost price, one part of the cost price. Income is 1000. So how much I have earned? 200 rupees. So how much is the profit here? 200 rupees is the profit on cost price. I told you, right? Base is always cost price. 200 on 800 is how much? 25%. 2 by 8 is 1 by 4. 1 by 4 is 25%. So this is what you will do in the exam. Again, this is how it should be done. Very neat. In fact, I will say you can cut down a few more steps. Don't go by my previous slide. In the previous slide, I had explained the complete problem in detail. Now I'm not writing anything on paper, right? This also need not be put on paper. Only this thing you do. This also is not needed in my view. I mean, you don't write 1 by 3, 2 by 3 and all that. Just say 400, 800, it becomes 320. This should be 1000. So 25% profit. See, this red marks here show that these steps can be cut down, right? You can, chop it off from their writing part. Are you able to follow? Have you all followed this? So these are smart ways of solving the questions, right? Can we solve it through options? You can also solve it through options. Why not? So you have to take 25% of 800. I mean 16% of 800. Check if it is giving you 1000 or not. 15% of 800 if it is giving you 1000 or not, and so on. Shall we move to the next one? Shayon says, could you please explain the allegation method if you have time? Well, my only challenge is time is not by my side. We have only 10 minutes left for the session and we have only covered 2 questions. Of course, with a lot of explanation and understanding here, but I think we'll move to the next one now, right? See, allegations method you can learn through the videos, through the videos that we have. I would like to move to the next one if you give me a nod. Yeah. So let's move to the next one. So guys, understand you have to cut down the number of steps that you put on paper. Let's try this now. There's a question on ages. There's a question on ages. Let us see how many of you get it right. Well, this probably I think will be the last question that we'll solve in the session today. I wish I could do more, but time is not allowing us to do that. Arjun has got 32. Arjun is the first one to respond. Option 2, 32 is what he says. I'll wait for a few more responses before we discuss the solution. "28. Shayon and many others have got 28. Peroli has got 24. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your names correct. Whatever little knowledge I have about the names, I'm just reading out, right? Anand, Sandhya, these are common names, I know. Qasim, Sajid, all have got 28. Satyam says it is 32. Akash Khanna has got 32. Arun has got 24. Anusha has got 28. Itishri Sahu, Mayuri, Satyapriya, Ravi, Vaibhav. Your answers are not matching, right? 24, 28, 32. What I can only, understand from your responses is 40 and 20 are not the correct answers because nobody has given that. At least from your responses, that's what I see. But there's a tough competition between 28, 32 and 24. "32 is correct." Surya says 28 is correct. I am 200% sure. What I am sure is definitely one of you is wrong because your answers are not matching. Chalo, shall we discuss the solution now? Look at it. What does it say? The present age of Bob is equal to Abby's age 8 years ago. 4 years hence, the respective ratio between Bob's age and Abby's age or AB's age will be 4:5 at that time. What is Bob's present age? So basically a simple question, right? You have been given 2 statements in English language which you have to convert to mathematical equations. Solve those 2 equations for the 2 unknown values that we have there and mark the required answer. So first step is to write the equations. Let's see what does it say. The present age of Bob is equal to AB's age 8 years ago. So I'll say present age of Bob, let us assume B, and AB's age, let us assume A. So B is equal to AB's age 8 years ago. 8 years ago means what? A minus A. You know, right? 8 years ago. So 8 years back, his age was A minus 8. If the present age is A, age 8 years back will be A minus 8. Now, one important point that I would like to mention before we proceed is that usually I have observed many students, they take the variables as X, Y. Let us assume Bobby's age is X, the other person's age is Y, right? Or maybe MN or AB, these kind of variables. I believe that choosing the variables is a very important part of your solution. Some of you may feel, how is that important? Whether we take X or Y or M or N or A or B, or for that matter, alpha, gamma, answer would remain the same. I agree, answer will remain the same. But the point is, without your knowledge, you end up wasting a few seconds or maybe a couple of seconds, only a couple of seconds in finding out which variable was what. Like let's say if you have started with X equals to Y minus 8. Then 4 years hence, X plus 4, the respective ratio between this, right? So X plus 4 by Y plus 4 equals to 4 by 5. You'll solve it. You'll get the values of X and Y. But before you mark the answer, you'll have to just check, was X Bob's age or, Y Bob's age? And that confusion will take only 1 second to sort out. But why that 1 second? So very, very important that you choose the variables properly. Let's say the names are given as, Namita and equal to, some other person, right? Sanjay, right? I would choose the variables as N and S. Clear? You know that N is Namita, S is Sanjay. right? So these simple points play a key role, right? We don't realize, but it actually helps us save a few seconds, right? A few important seconds, valuable seconds there. So choose the variables properly. So the first equation is Bobby's age is equal to Bob's age is equal to AB's age 8 years ago. 4 years hence, the respective ratio between Bob's age and AB's age will be 4:5. Now 4 years hence, after 4 years, this person's age will be B plus 4, AB's age will be A plus 4. This ratio equals to 4:5. What is Bob's present age? Ideally, what would we do? Two equations and two unknowns. This is equation number 1, B equals to A minus 8. This is equation number 2, B plus 4 by A plus 4 equals to 4 by 5. Two equations, two variables, solve and get the required answer. So let us do that. What do? Let us substitute B equals to A minus 8 in this place. So we will get A minus 8 plus 4, right, divided by A plus 4 equals to 4 by 5. Simplified further, A minus 8 plus 4 will be A minus 4. A minus 4 by A plus 4. Of course, you need not write every step here. You can directly go for cross multiplication. What do we get? 5A minus 20 equals to 4A plus 16. So this gives you 5A minus 4A. A is equal to 36, right? 20 plus 16, 36. So AB's age is 36. But he's asking us to find out Bob's present age. So what do? You know that Bob's present age, B equals to A minus 8. So B will be equal to 36 minus 8. How much is that? 28. Option 5 will be the answer. Bob's present age will be 28. Option 5. But can this be done in a different way? Well, yes, it can be done in a different way also. How? How do we do that? Now, what I'm going to discuss is called an elimination method, or it's like using the options. You just go by the options. See, understand, the questions that we get in exam have got 4 options, right? Each question has got multiple options. Now, out of these 5 options, 1 is correct and 4 are wrong, and you are supposed to find out the correct answer. Now, there are 2 ways of finding out the correct answer. Either find out the correct answer option, or find out which 4 are wrong. And in some cases, finding out which 4 are wrong is much easier than finding out which one is correct. And that's what we try to do in such cases. Alright, so let us go by elimination. What we'll do is not write any of these steps. Of course, this is a simple solution, will not take more than 30 seconds, but you should know what are the other ways of solving it, right? Especially in questions from ages where ratios are involved, right? Well, of course, this is a little complex, but you can do it using the options. See, the point that you need to focus on is what is asked in the question. What is asked? What is Bob's present age? What is Bob's present age? So according to the options, according to option 1, Bob's present age is 24. According to option 2, Bob's present age is 32. According to option 3, Bob's present age is 40. According to 4, it is 20. And according to 5, it is 28. What I would say is, look at the first equation. We know that B equals to A minus 8. Or we can say A is equal to B plus 8. A is equal to B plus 8. So we know that AB's present age is Bob's age plus 8 years. So if Bob's age is 24, AB's age should be 32. If Bob's age is 32, AB's age should be 40. If this is 40, then AB's age should be 48. If this is 20, then AB's age should be 28. And if this is 28, then AB's age should be 36. Right or not? What is given to us is Bob's age in different options, from which we are finding out AB's age. How? Plus 8. Simple calculation, plus 8. So 24 becomes 32, 32 becomes 40, 40 becomes 48, 20 becomes 28, 28 becomes 36. What have we done? Added 8 to each of these options. So we are trying to find out the possible age of that second person using the age given in the options. So first equation has been used. How did we do this? Using the first equation. Now use the second equation. What is the second equation? It says B plus 4 and A plus 4 are in the ratio of 4:5. Can you not do that mentally? B plus 4 and A plus 4 are in the ratio of 4:5. See, now what you have to do is plus 4 plus 4. So 28, 36. See, you need not put pen on paper. I mean, I will write it only for the sake of explanation, but mentally you can do this. Plus 4 and plus 4. So 28, 36. Is this ratio 4:5? No. Because if 28 is 4 parts, 5 parts should be 35. This is not 4:5, right? Eliminated. Then plus 4 plus 4, 36, 44. Is it 4:5? No. 44, 52. Is it 4:5? No. 24, 32. Is it 4 is to 5? No, this is 3 is to 4. Cancel. 28, 36, 32, 40. Is this 4 is to 5? Yes, 8 into 4, 8 into 5. So can I say option 5 is the answer? Yes or no? So go by options. Why not? Elimination. We are finding out what are the wrong answers. I mean, in that process, we'll anyway get to know what is the correct one. So the point is, don't believe that solving the equations is the only way to arrive at the answers. Of course, here solving was easier, like I mentioned earlier. You could have done that as well, nothing wrong with it. But in some cases where we have, let's say, quadratic equations or equations where solving the missing variable, solving for the missing variable may take a little longer, I would say go by options. What most of us forget in the exam is that we have got multiple choices. Are you able to follow? Many of the students, many of us fail to realize the fact that options, the given options has got one of the correct answers. It's like key. You have a lock. I'm just giving a simple analogy so that it remains with you. The idea remains with you always. You have been given a lock. You have been asked to make a key of that. Now what you're doing is you have taken a key-like shape and you're trying to find out, you're trying to make the actual key. What I am saying is 5 keys are there in front of you. You have to tell which key will suit. Put one by one and check which one works. This sometimes is faster than actually finding out what the actual key is, right? That is the logic, that is the concept. And I'll repeat myself, most of us forget to do this. We fail to realize, we solve equations. Again, don't look at this question and feel that this technique is not very useful. This question probably was easy because the kind of equations given are simple. Sometimes when the equations are complex, where you have to solve quadratic equations, why to waste your time? Check from the options, right? And when you go for the SSC CGL exam, you will know that in topics of trigonometry and algebra, how we play with the options, right? It's real fun to solve questions from algebra and trigonometry. I actually feel, it feels sad that some students actually do a complete solution for solving questions from algebra trigonometry. Not needed. Substitute the values randomly. That's called substitution method, which again we may not have any question based on that today, but substitution is another way of doing it, right? Substitute values in the given question. Some conditions have been given to you. Substitute values according to those conditions. Random values. Substitute the similar values in the options as well. See which option satisfies. And you're the answer. You got the answer. Are you able to follow? Well, I know only 3 sums. Some of you are pointing out that only 3 sums have been done, but let's do one more. I think one more question and then we'll close it. We are already at 7:03, supposed to close it now, but one last question before we call it off, right? Let us see. Get this? Questions on ratio. Sanu says, does elimination method work on all problems? No, it will not work on all problems. You'll have to understand where it is actually helpful, where it is really useful, and then apply it accordingly. Vaibhav Chimkar says, how to understand which question to solve by substitution? Well, this would need a little practice. You see, the simple funda is where conditions have been given. Of course, every question has got only conditions, but you need to understand the type of statements. If the statements are easy to verify using options, then why not? Go by options. Okay, somebody says Devendra. Devendra says this is not applicable for bank exams because in bank exams we have a 5th option called none of this. Devendra, for information, the questions that I'm solving now have all been taken up from the last year's IBPS PO exam paper. So there are questions where 5th option is not none of this. Alright, so waiting for your responses to this one. The question says a certain sum is divided among A, B and C in such a way that A gets rupees 40 more than half of the sum, B gets rupees 120 less than 3/8 of the sum, and C gets rupees 200. What is the total sum? What is the total sum? Let us see how many of you get it right. Okay, Rajshri says it is 1000. Sandhya, Bhuvaneshwari and Ruchi have got 960, option 3. Bibin has also got 960. Sajid says it's 960. So looks like majority of you have got option C, 960 as the answer, option 3. Kirti, Pradeep, Augustine says it is 1200, which is option 4. some confusion there, but most of you says it's 960, right? Sonam, Devidat, Anu, Dushyant Singh has also got 1200. And I remember to have seen some responses as 1000. Well, Akash Khanna has got a 10-15 digit value here, which is not there in the options. Alright, so let's look at this. Now, the question says a certain sum is divided among A, B and C in such a way that A gets 40 more than half of the sum, B gets 120 less than 3/8 of the sum, and C gets rupees 200. What is the total sum? Now, what a smart student would do immediately is, if you look at the question, he says A gets 40 more than half of the sum. Let us assume the sum is S. A gets 40 more than half of the sum, S by 2 plus 40. B gets 120 less than 3/8 of the sum. So B gets 120 less than 3/8 of the sum. So 3 by 8 of the sum minus 120, and C gets 200. This is given to us straight away. He's asking us to find out the total sum. Now there are 3 equations, right? And of course 4 variables here, right? I mean, or I can say 2 equations and 3 variables, A, B and S. So you have to play with these to find out the answer, right? He's asking us to find out the value of S, right? And the other equation that we have is A plus B plus C equals to S. So if you are feeling that there's one equation short here, no. There are 4 equations and 4 unknown values. Or I would say, if you take this as a known value, 3 equations and 3 unknowns. What are the 3 unknowns? A, B and S. So 3 equations, 3 unknowns can be solved. But instead of doing all that drama in the exam, why don't you just look at the options? See, the first thing that you need to know is, the sum here should be a multiple of 2. It should be a multiple of 2. It should be a multiple of 2. Why? There is high probability that it's a multiple of 2. Because at one point in the question, we are talking about half of the sum. The sum is divisible by 2. If you see, all these options here are multiples of 2. Nothing worth highlighting here. But we also know from the question that sum should be a multiple of 8. It should also be a multiple of 8. Because at one point, we have taken 3/8 of the sum. So it is unlikely that B will be a non-integer value. A, B and C, all 3 would be integers, right? I'm not saying it is not possible that they can be non-integers, but high chance that all 3 are integers. So going by that, you know that the sum has to be a multiple of 8. It has to be a multiple of 8. Look at option 1. Is that a multiple of 8? 1100? No. Is 1100 a multiple of 8? No. See, 1000 will be 125 times. 100 is how much? 12.5 times. So this is like 137.5 times. So actually a multiple of 8, 137.5 into 8, but is it a integer multiple? No. So 1000 is ruled out. 850? No. Answers will be either 960, which is a multiple of 8, or 1200, which is a multiple of 8, or 1000, which is a multiple of 8. So let us verify from these options. What does it say? See, out of 960, if you take 960 option 1, he says A, B and C are the 3 persons, right? A, B, C. Just to go by the options, just go by the conditions. C has got 200 directly. This is known to us. A has got 40 more than half of the sum. Half of 960 is 480. And 480 plus 40 is 520. B has got 3/8 of the sum minus 120. Now how much is 3/8 of 960? 1/8 of 960 is 120. 3/8 is 360. 360 minus 120 is 240. Now only thing that you have to check is this total adding up to 960 or not? If yes, that's the answer. Otherwise move to the next option. So 520 plus 240 is 760 plus 900 is 960. Option 3 is the answer. Are you able to follow? Let us do the same for 1200, see what happens. We know that there are 3 persons, A, B, C, where C has got 200. Now, how much has A got? 40 more than half of the sum. Half of the sum is 600 plus 40, 640. How much will B get? 3/8 of the sum minus 120. What is 1/8 of 1200? What is 1/8 of 1200? 150, right? See, 1200 by 8. It will be 150. 3/8 of 1200, 150 into 3, 450. 450 minus 120, 330. Add these 3. 640 plus 330 is 970. 970 plus 200 is 1170. Is this adding up to 1200? No. So option 4 cannot be the answer. Similarly, you will also find that option 5 is also not the answer. So option 3. So the point is elimination. We are finding out what cannot be the answers based on the given conditions, or we are verifying through the options. So these are the different ways of solving the questions, right? Verify from the options. If you feel having multiple options is a disadvantage, you're wrong. It's actually an advantage, right? Will we be able to do if the question is given in the form of fill in the blank? What is the total sum is dash, find out the value of dash. Options are not given. Will we be able to apply this? No. Then we'll have to solve the equations. So the advantage is, yes, we have some options, we have some keys. Try the keys one by one in the given log and see which key, opens it. Done. You're done with that. Able to follow? Solving by direct method will take time. I mean, if you want, I can do that, but why? 3 equations, 3 unknowns, right? You know that S is A plus B plus C, A is equal to S by 2 plus 40, B is equal to 3S by 8 minus 120. That's simple as that. But I think it's time now to close the session. I wish I could solve more questions. I had planned for more, but I think we have discussed in detail about those 2-3 very important techniques. So the point, guys, is that there are different ways of solving questions from aptitude, right? It is not just the regular method or the shortcut that you have to use, right? I'm not talking about shortcuts alone. When I say different methods, I don't say there are shortcuts for every question. No. Sometimes even shortcuts are lengthy. If you go by simple, common sense, you'll be able to eliminate many of the options, right? Or you'll be able to arrive at a conclusion that, okay, this can be the answer or these cannot be the answers. Okay, so elimination method, substitution method, approximation, right? Then concept, basic concept that you have learned can be applied to get the answers faster, right? And these methods are other than the conventional methods and using a shortcut formula. Okay, I would once again remind you all to go watch the video on 4 ways to solve questions from aptitude. Of course, you'll not find something very, very new there, having attended this session, but just watch it, right? There again we have looked at 2-3 important methods which can be followed, and keep practicing. I think that is one suggestion that I have for all of you, right? Whether you enroll for a program or not, remember, practice is the key, right? Practice, analyze, correct, right? Practice, analyze your performance and correct yourself, right? Just practicing alone is not going to help, right? I usually used to say P, P and P, practice, practice and more practice, but I think the one reason what I figured out why many students are lagging behind is because they only practice and don't rectify their weaknesses. So I'll say practice, analyze your performance in the mock test that you have taken and improve from there, right? You should know what your weaker areas are, right? And then try to act on that. You have enough time for the IBPS PO exam, right? It is in October, and in this 2 months that you have in between, you can do wonders. I'm sure 2 months is enough to crack IBPS PO prelims exam, provided you follow the right strategy. You have the right strategy with you and follow the right approach for your preparation, right? Remember, preparation without any strategy will leave you on a no man's land, right? You have to have a strategy for your preparation too. Okay, the competition is huge, but there's definitely one job for you. Okay, so keep practicing. I think that is the key, and take very good care of yourselves. Let me see if I have any questions to be answered before I close it. How to, okay, I've lost that chat. It's running too fast. Let me just see. Somebody says how to something on arithmetic aptitude, right? I'm not good in quant, and is there any problem if I solved in last? Do I have to go for, I'm not able to read it. It's like continuously moving. Sorry about that. Yeah, I want to know how to pick the trick in question to solve it immediately. Well, Arun, this is a very important question that you have asked, right? Just knowing a plethora of techniques or a plethora of shortcuts is not going to help, right? That's what I always say. Learning a formula is not going to help you. You should know where to apply that, right? Unless you're able to apply it at the right place in the right time, it's of no use. You see, after the exam gets over, many times you feel, oh, that was the method. But what's the point? Now it's gone, right? You should get the idea at the right time. Getting the idea is not important. Getting the idea at the right time is important. You know, it would sound funny if I say that I am thinking of inventing television. What nonsense. Television was invented. Now, I was not born then is a different story, but you know, you're talking about something which is already there. It's like lost, right? You can't do anything about it. So, yes, it is very important that you know when to apply, what to apply, and how to apply the technique there. And how do you do it is through practice. I mean, that's what I told you, right? If you are spending 2 hours on taking a mock exam, spend another 2 hours in analyzing what you have done in that mock exam, right? The second 2 hours are more important than the first 2 hours, I would say. Because there you have performed, like you are doing it in the exam. Here you will sit and analyze, right? You'll see what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, right? what you're doing, what others are not doing, or what others are doing that you are not being able to do, and correct yourself. Madhuri says, any live session for SSC CGL? Well, live sessions for SSC CGL are actually going on, right? We have already done 4 live sessions for quantitative aptitude, 2 live sessions for English, and 3 live sessions for general intelligence and reasoning. And we have done close to 26 live sessions for general awareness, but those are all for students who have enrolled for the TalentSprint program, right? And we have also done some free live sessions on Wednesdays. If you can just visit our YouTube channel and look at the videos that we have done, live sessions that we have done, you'll find some on SSC CGL there. So go watch that. Okay, I think I would like to close now. Can we reevaluate the banking? Somebody is asking me a new question. Let me just see that. This is interesting. Can we, what is that? I've lost it again, sorry. Important topics for words problems. Final advice before close. Important topics for word problems. What do you mean by that? Okay, I am weak in quant, and is there any problem if I solve quant in the last? Well, yes, you should not go for quantitative aptitude in the end, especially in IBPS pure prelims or SBI pure prelims exam. I think quantitative aptitude should be the first or the second section that you solve, right? You should not leave it for the last. That way you end up losing more marks. I mean, you'll not realize, but you end up wasting a lot of time, right? See, questions, sections like English language, general awareness and banking are, these sections are where we don't have to spend too much time, right? I mean, like, you either know the answer or you don't know the answer. You're getting, like, for example, a question on general awareness or banking, let us say. You either know that or you don't know that. There's no formula. So you can quickly finish these sections in the beginning itself, but don't post quantitative aptitude for the end. You understand what I'm saying, right? You should do it in the beginning. I would say you should do it in the beginning. Kiran says, please explain the new pattern. I think we have discussed about the new pattern in the last session, Kiran, so I would not like to spend time on that. Watch our videos in the YouTube channel. Anything else? How to know an arithmetic question takes how much time to solve in the exam? Vikram says, how to know an arithmetic question takes how much time to solve? No, you don't have to. I mean, when I say, I always say that when you look at the question, the first thing that you have to check is how much time it will take. But when I say that, I don't mean that you have to sit and analyze that is it going to take 36 seconds or 41 seconds or 29 seconds or 7 seconds. If you try to do that kind of an analysis, you actually end up wasting the whole time in only analyzing that, right? A rough idea. This is like complex would take about 30 seconds or 1 minute or 1 minute 30 seconds. See, all these things you would know when you start analyzing back your performances, right? I think the biggest gap in our preparation is that we are not analyzing what we are doing, right? So start doing that, okay? So I think Kiran is trying to spam the chat box. I am not reading anything else other than the question that is there any session for reasoning in puzzles? Yes, the next session is on reasoning, which will be on for the IBPS PO exam, right? And we'll see if we take up some questions on puzzles. And with that, I would like to close the session. I think I would like to thank you all for joining in this session. I hope all of you have enjoyed this. Please share your valuable feedback and join us back on the next Wednesday, where we will have a session on reasoning ability. Of course, the details have been shared on your email IDs. The events are also available on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. So please follow those channels and keep joining us in these sessions, right? Also, if you would like to explore more about our programs, there is a description given below the video screen, right? You can visit our website, which is talentsprint.com, TALENTSPRINT, talentsprint.com, to know more about the programs. Okay, so thank you once again, and keep practicing. Take very good care of yourselves. We'll meet again in the next session. See you. Hello everyone, I'm Rohit and I welcome you all to TalentSprint, India's leading career accelerator for youth. If you are highly aspirational about cracking bank and SSC exams, then you have landed at the right place. TalentSprint's online preparation programs for bank and SSC exams can help you crack these exams with 10 times more confidence and boost your chances of selection. These online programs comes with a video library which...
Welcome to TalentSprint. I'm Sylvia and I'm here to share your daily dose on job skills. In this video, we will learn how to speak in a jam session. Now, Just a Minute is a great tool to help improve your managing, convincing, and your overall general speaking skills. So by the end of this video, you would have learned how jam can actually aid in improving 3 skills for you. 1, your ability to organize your thought flow. 2, your ability to apply logic, and sound convincing. 3, your general speaking skills. Now, most